Talk?
Did you have prepared remarks?
Go ahead.
First impressions of the facilities here. Obviously, you're going to be in Coachella Valley, but just around the rink, KCI hadn't gotten good reviews from NHL guys, and we've had some of the rookies here before. What have you seen from early impressions of the facilities?
Well, the facilities are top notch. They're just an incredible facility for the players. Obviously, to come here every day and be a part of this is pretty impressive. But you look at the 3-pad surfaces and the weight rooms, everything is top class. So it's for an NHL team, for some of these prospects to come through and want to be a part of this, I think there's a lot of determination for these kids to get here. So obviously, these facilities is a real good cookie for them.
Coach, what can you share with us about this past offseason in terms of putting a new staff together, getting to know a new roster of players? What has that been like for you?
Well, it's exciting. I was in Oshawa last year in the Ontario Hockey League, and obviously got the job here in Coachella Valley, and Ron and his staff have been awesome. Going through the process and getting the job has been excellent. Going down to Coachella Valley in July was interesting. It was very hot, 120 degrees, I believe, and so we're moved in there now and we're set up. And you look at the whole organization from top to bottom, with the facilities here, the arena downtown, and Coachella Valley. It's a win-win for everybody. And you've seen some of these young kids coming through. We're starting to see some of the prospects. To go down there and be a part of it, it's a great training ground for these kids to take this next step to being a Seattle Kraken.
Coach Shane said that you were pretty clear with your message today. What did you tell these guys?
Well, we just talked about, getting our skates on the ground today, and we worked on a few systems with the forecheck, neutral zone forecheck, and a little bit of the D zone off some of the drills. And it was just about, getting acclimated to your equipment today, getting acclimated to your teammates, and let's just make sure we take a step every day. And these two games are big for these players on the weekend down in LA. It's a springboard for these players to go into training camp. And I know we've had some players through Dallas Stars and Texas Stars. Yanni Janmark was a player that I used as an example. Went through the process and then ended up making that NHL team. So for these players, I think it's a great chance for them to show their game going forward.
Coach, how much adjustment did you have to make to your systems to make sure they're compatible with Dan's systems, so that when the players from Coachella get called up, they're playing the same way?
That's a great question. We are going to run the exact same systems that Dan's going to run here. I think that's part of the process for these kids. It makes it easier for when they get called up. There's no gray area for them. So we're going to run all the systems the same way.
But were your systems, when you were head coach in the CHL, different from what Dan? Have you had to make adjustments?
Yeah, I'll make adjustments. It's not that hard. At the end of the day, there's only like 4 or 5 systems, but there's different ways to play them, different ways to teach them. So I want to make sure that the terminology is the same. Some of my terminology is different. So I have to make those adjustments to make sure that the players that are in Coachella Valley, when they get called up, they understand that there's no gray area when they come up to Seattle.
Is there some compartmentalized that has to go on? Of course, you have to build a team in Coachella, but now also you're imparting wisdom and you're teaching the prospects up here. What are some of those differences that you're going to work on here in Seattle and taking them down to Coachella Valley as you build your team there?
Well, the biggest thing for me and my staff is getting to know some of the players that are going to be in CV. I think that's for them to, when they come down at the end of the training camp, they're going to be that much more comfortable. And we only have a week of training camp down there, so they'll hit the ground running and getting ready for the opening of our season. So I think the biggest thing for me is just the being up here, being a part of the training camp, learning the systems, learning the terminology that Dan and his staff are using, and then we can have that familiarity with the players and the systems when we go back down to CV.
When Dave Lowry was major junior coach, and he said recently that he told players that the AHL is a completely different ballgame, and he actually said that the AHL is a harder league to play in than the NHL because everybody's trying to put you through the boards to get noticed. So you're going to, you're moving up from major junior hockey. What will you be telling the players who haven't experienced pro hockey before?
Well, the players that played for me in Oshawa were very lucky because I teach a pro-style game. I try and get these players prepared in the junior level for the next level. That jump from Canadian Major Junior or NCAA is a huge jump. To go from there even to the ECHL, to the East Coast League, is a huge transition. So it's off-ice preparation, it's your daily habits, it's your on-ice preparation, and that's why we have the American Hockey League, is because these players get a chance to go down there and refine their game on and off the ice and become the pros. You know, they learn to get bigger, stronger, they change with their nutrition. So it's a huge jump. And so for the players, Shane Wright's a great example. He was down in the American Hockey League. He's still young, he's 20 years old. He's down there refining his game. Now he's put the work in, he's gotten big, stronger, faster. He's learning the game, he's maturing. And I think that's the biggest difference for these kids. They're going to learn how to mature at the American Hockey League level. I think one GM that I had, he used the references, it's like an orange on an orange tree, right? They go down there, they have to go down, and when they're ripe, they're ready to go.
Does Shane Wright jump out at you as someone who belongs now at the NHL level?
Yeah, he does. I know him a little bit from the Ontario Hockey League. So the team that I took over, I think, played him the year before in the playoffs, and we watched some film on him. And you know, he's a type of player that's going to be a type of player you build your organization around, right? He can play a 200-foot game. He's got the scoring knack. He's got good size. He's got a good shot. He's got great leadership qualities, and I think that's impressive. And for him to take that step in with Seattle, I think it's going to be that's what you want to see. You have to build your team through the draft. And now you're going to start to see 3 years into the NHL. Now you're starting to see some of the prospects come through. You've got the Nelsons, you've got the Goyettes, you've got Ferguses. I think that's exciting for the Seattle fans.
And what were your first impressions of Berkly Catton's first rookie camp?
It's first time on the ice. I think I'll give him, I guess the big thing for me is that I'd like to see some of these kids in the game on the weekend. And then, obviously he's a special talent. I've heard great things about him from the Western Hockey League and Canadian Major Junior. So obviously he's a special player. But I think I just kind of hold my my opinion until I see a few times on the ice. But obviously he's a special player being drafted 8th overall. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Nice meeting you.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Fancy. There's bad. All right, good talk, guys.
Shane, your thoughts on the new podium?
I think it's great. I got somewhere to put my hands now, not standing awkwardly behind my back. It's nice.
All right, so what's it like being the old guy?
I don't really feel like the old guy. Obviously it's my 3rd camp here, so trying to be a mentor, be a bit of a leader for the younger guys coming in, and kind of help them out, help them through the process and coming into camp here. But I wouldn't say I don't really feel old. Still feel like one of the younger guys. But yeah, it's good.
You didn't say to them back in my day.
No, not quite. No, we're not there yet.
Speaking of being a mentor, I saw you kind of helping out Berkly Catton quite a bit. Can you kind of talk about the relationship that you guys have built in this short amount of time?
For sure, yeah. I mean, obviously we were on a line for a bit today. I want to just try to help him out as much as I can. Obviously, he's a talented player. We saw 8th overall in the draft, so he knows how to play. Just trying to help him, give him some tips and help him out any way I can, and try to make it a little more comfortable, a little easier for him here, and make that kind of transition to this level easier for him.
What have you seen from him so far in this camp?
Yeah, I mean, he's just talented. He's smart. He's fast. Really good with the puck, and obviously just short, small sample size out there today, but it'd be nice to play with him in the future for sure.
Shane, Ron was saying that Gary Roberts had rave reviews for your off-season work. What are you learning about your off-season process, and how do you feel you progressed?
Yeah, I think just every summer, just keep growing. I think obviously being up at Gary's there, it's a really good group. Obviously you're skating with high NHL guys, and you're comparing and testing yourself against them every single day. So obviously felt like I had a pretty good summer. Obviously really pretty short as well, but I felt overall pretty good heading into camp here.
Is it about progressing, or is it about adding new elements into how you prepare for the season?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Obviously you're always trying to add little things to your game and just kind of refine the overall game and certain parts of it. So I think just overall looking for ways to improve and make yourself better.
How important is it for you, especially this first week, for this leadership part of your game to come through? How big of a role do you want to play, and how important is that for you as you move forward through big main camp and then into the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think for me, I just want to, make the guys coming in, the new guys, as comfortable as possible. Obviously, I was in their shoes just a few years ago, so I understand what it's like coming to your first camp. Maybe a little nervous. You're playing against, the NHL players for the first time. So, just want to make it as comfortable, easy for them as possible. Really, just kind of make that, that transition really easy, and help them, acclimatize themselves to this situation here.
Hey Shane, you mentioned the short summer. Obviously, pretty great year in the AHL level. From the beginning of the year to that final, where did your game improve?
Yeah, I think just overall, just improving and growing in confidence and growing in maturity and understanding what it's like to play pro and how it's how you're able to make a difference and at that level and really kind of be a top player. So I think just throughout the year, just kind of gaining that confidence, gaining that maturity in my game, kind of really saw it improve step by step as the season went on there.
First impressions on Coach Laxdal and the rest of the AHL coaching staff?
Yeah, I really like Coach Laxdal so far. I think he's really kind of getting his message across right away. But he's easy to talk to, easy to listen to and follow. And I think he's a really good coach. And obviously small sample size here to start, but you'll really enjoy what I've seen so far.
You're obviously one of the younger players on the Kraken roster, but you also are one of the fewer players who have experience with the Valsma. Do you see yourself maybe taking a mentor role with some of the older players and being like, hey, here's the system, or introducing him to his coaching?
Maybe not as much to the older players. I think obviously there's those guys, they know what it's like to kind of go through coaching changes or go through experiences with different coaches and leadership groups. So I wouldn't say I have to kind of help them through it at all. I think there's a lot of talented guys that are able to figure that out, and I think just we like talking within each other, talking to one another about it all, and see what the other guys sees or what they like and what they don't like. So there's always communication, always talk, but I wouldn't say I'm as much like a kind of mentoring or however you want to put it, but yeah.
You guys good?
Thanks, Shane.
Okay, thanks, Shane.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane.
Berkly, what have you been up to since we saw you at Dev Camp?
Lots of hockey. It was a pretty, seemed like it wasn't too long ago. It was a pretty short summer, but it was really fun.
What are your first impressions of Coach Laxdal?
He's serious, knows his hockey. I even heard him kind of mentioning how he teaches a pro-style hockey game, and for lots of us kids who have never played pro hockey, it's awesome, to kind of jump into that and feel that right away.
And then we saw you talking with Shane a little bit on the ice there. What have you learned from him? Obviously, it's very short, but just learning from him and having a few days here with him at KCI.
Yeah, he's extremely detailed. I've noticed that everything he does, it seems like he does it right. So he's a guy that, a leader here that, guys like me and can kind of follow him in his steps, and, playing on his line will be cool. And he's always open, if I ever have a question, he's the first one to kind of jump in and answer.
Are you a little bit more comfortable stepping in here today compared to the summer?
Yeah, it's the same. You're a little nervous every time you get to come in here. It's the NHL, and it's pretty surreal saying that, and this has been my dream my whole life. So to kind of be here now, it's pretty cool.
What do you want to take out of this? Speak from a developmental standpoint going into this next season. What are your goals for this camp and being around these coaches and players, and even some of the vets who are kicking around, talking to you guys every day? Yeah,
it's just a learning experience, and in my hockey journey, and there's day by day, hour by hour, I seem to learn something new and just add that to my kind of toolbox, I guess, of things. And, going back to junior, that's a lot of things that I can take back even to my teammates there and pass that on as a leader there. And it's a really cool experience. I came in a couple days early and to be around the NHL guys even. It's so cool just watching how they go through their everyday stuff, like Jordan Everly, a guy who I just grew up admiring so much, and then to kind of just see him in the gym and stuff, it's pretty cool. So it's a big learning experience, and I can learn stuff here, then wherever I end up I can bring that back.
And from a leadership perspective, being a leader on your junior team, what will this experience mean to help you impart that wisdom on the 15, 16, 17-year-olds that you're going to be playing with, and even against in the Western League this year?
Yeah, well, I think, they will know where I came from, and, when I bring stuff back and say, hey, this is what so-and-so does in the NHL, they're going to really listen to that, and, as would I if a guy came back from an NHL camp too. So I think there's going to be lots of respect from that kind of aspect, but, it'll be cool, and I think that'll just help, my team grow when I go back.
Did you get a chance to talk to everybody?
Yeah, I did. He's kind of jumped out at me. He's a Saskatchewan guy. There's a couple Sask guys, so it's always comforting. Even in the biggest stage here, they're just simple, nice guys. So.
Berkly, two things. One, if you haven't already said this to Jordan, make sure to tell him that you enjoyed watching him since you were a little boy. He'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, you could probably tell by how starstruck I was when I saw him. But I mentioned he probably hears it a million times from all us Canadian guys and the World Juniors and stuff. So I kind of kept away the first time meeting him, but I'm sure he could tell.
You've talked about wanting to play in the NHL this year. How disappointed would you be if that doesn't happen, or if it's only for a handful of games?
Yeah, well, I'm wherever my feet are at. So if I go through this camp and impress and play some NHL hockey games, good for me. That's obviously what I'm striving for. I don't know why we really shoot for anything less than that. And then going back would just be like I was kind of mentioning, all the experience I learned here would go back. So either way, in my eyes, it's a positive, and I'm just extremely happy to be here.
Well, they're certainly rooting for you to come back to Spokane.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.